There is simply no one like President Trump. I mean, we simply never seen anyone so willing to stand up and fight back against the mainstream Marxist media. No one has exposed them more for being a bunch of left-wing radicals disguised as journalists, a bunch of hecklers disguised as reporters, as Donald Trump. We're going to take a look at the press briefing yesterday, and we're going to see why it's all part of the inevitable meltdown and implosion of the mainstream Marxist media. You are going to love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Awesome to be with you. As always, a super safe and sound lockdown Tuesday to all of you. If this is your first time here at this channel, we post 2 videos a day analyzing current events and some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It would be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel, where each and every day we have the privilege of coming together and celebrating the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Now, before we get into Trump's humiliation of the mainstream media, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's collagen, available at healthwithsteveturley.com. Now, if you don't know, collagen may be the closest thing we'll ever have for a real fountain of youth. Many health experts now agree that consuming collagen is crucial as it gets to renew and revitalize how you look and feel. After all, collagen is the most abundant protein in your body, and it's essentially the glue that holds you together. But our bodies stop producing collagen after age 20. So if you're middle-aged, you could be producing less than half of the collagen you did in your youth. And frankly, the results are rather obvious. Sagging skin, thinner hair, stiffer joints, the list goes on and on. But taking collagen regularly can revitalize your body and make your skin more healthy and youthful. It promotes joint flexibility and stronger bones. It even contributes to more healthy looking hair. It's pretty amazing stuff. Now, if you're interested in learning more about BioTrust collagen and getting your own supply, then visit healthwithsteveturley.com or just click on the link below and check it out. You'll be absolutely glad that you did. All right, gang. Let's dive right in here. It just doesn't get better than this. At yesterday's press briefings for the coronavirus task force, Trump did the unthinkable. The unimaginable. He brought out his own video response to the constant meme that the mainstream media, Marxist media, has been harping on for weeks now. That people are dying needlessly today because of President Trump's failure to act decisively in the beginning months of this pandemic. In response, Trump put together a video montage of clip after clip after clip of the mainstream Marxist media originally telling their viewers that there was nothing to see here when it came to the virus. Take a look.
In 5 years, when I'm not here, those papers are all going out of business because nobody's going to want to read them. But now they like them because they write about me. Now, with that, I have a couple of interesting, we have a few clips that we're just going to put up. We could turn the lights a little bit lower. I think you'll find them interesting. And then we'll answer some questions. I'll ask you some questions because you're so guilty, but forget it. But most importantly, we're going to get back onto the reason we're here, which is the success we're having. Okay? Please, you could put it on. Thank you.
People should be more concerned right now with the flu in this country.
A lot of people are concerned about the coronavirus because they're hearing a lot of news about it right now. But the reality is, comparing it to the flu, for example, it's not even close to being at that stage.
What if it is worse? Is this a moment where maybe countries put politics aside, a little bit of pride aside, and do we have U.S. officials? Should U.S. professionals such as yourself get involved?
How worried should Americans be about coronavirus?
Coronavirus is not going to cause a major issue in the United States.
Well, we've asked them to accelerate whatever they're doing in terms of a vaccine. We will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days. To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Medicare patients can now visit any doctor by phone or video conference at no additional cost.
The first 1 million masks will be available immediately.
As there were more cases, and it was clear that it was spreading out of China, where it originated, The president took this move that he was widely criticized for by Democrats and even some Republicans at the time, which was he halted a number of flights from China into the U.S. The idea was to halt the spread of the disease, keep transmissions to a minimum. He was accused of xenophobia. He was accused of making a racist move. At the end of the day, it was probably effective because it did actually take a pretty aggressive measure against the spread of the virus.
Now, folks, this is why I stand by my statement. There is no one like President Trump. Trump knows what the mainstream Marxist media is attempting to do to him. He knows that they are, in fact, working in coordination with the Democratic Party to deliberately try to bring President Trump down. This is why they're pushing the racist meme that Trump is a racist because he calls the coronavirus the Chinese virus, even though the media used that term almost exclusively when the virus first appeared. This is why they're pushing the notion that Trump didn't take the virus seriously at first, even though, as the video montage demonstrates, the mainstream Marxist media were the worst perpetrators of not taking the virus seriously. For heaven's sakes, Nancy Pelosi was running around in February telling everybody they need to go and visit Chinatown to counter Trump's racist China travel ban. But again, the mainstream Marxist media is not about reporting truth. They're about reporting left-wing liberalism. This is especially the case since they become the default propagandists for the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. They are not about reporting truth. They're about reporting leftist propaganda, and Trump knows it. And he knows the vast majority of the American public knows it, as reflected in virtually all the polls. And this video montage threw it all right back in the media's faces. And to make matters even worse for the mainstream Marxist media, the problem for them is not just Trump throwing all of this back in their faces, it's also that their fellow liberals are not cooperating. This is a major problem for the mainstream media, the Democrat communication wing. It's a gigantic problem. We did a video the other day on Bill Maher, the ultra-liberal TV host, coming out and saying that the coronavirus is emphatically the Chinese virus and ought to be called such. Yet the ultra-liberal governors Gavin Newsom of California and Andrew Cuomo of New York actually praising Trump's response. Yet the media darling Dr. Anthony Fauci actually excoriating the media the other day for trying to pit him against the president. He made it absolutely clear in no uncertain terms that that was a lie, that everything he has recommended in conjunction with Deborah Birx, Dr. Birx, every recommendation that they've given to the president was approved on the day they gave it. They've worked with the information that they were getting from the World Health Organization back in January and February. That, by the way, that World Health Organization is about to get defunded, that propaganda wing for China, the WHO. They're about to be defunded by the United States. Absolutely wonderful. But based on the information that Fauci and Birx received from the WHO and Beijing, not just what they learned of, but when they learned it, it was immediately transmitted to the president, and the president, in turn, immediately acted on it. So the problem here with the Marxist media strategy of trying to take President Trump down by pushing Beijing talking points that Trump is to blame for the virus, not China. The problem with that strategy is that not all liberals are playing by the same playbook. They're not cooperating with it. And all you need are just some notable leftist liberals to say, hey, I'm sorry, Trump's doing great. And no, it's not racist to call it the Wuhan virus or the Chinese virus. Thank you, Bill Maher. And the whole plan to discredit the president and take him down ends up falling apart. And even more to the point, even the New York Times now is recognizing this is all for naught. The New York Times just printed a piece that admitted that the media is not going to be able to take Trump down with this. Biden is falling apart. He's perhaps one of the worst, weakest candidates they could have possibly fielded against Trump. The enthusiasm gap is embarrassing. Biden is the Bob Dole of the Democrats. I mean, there's just no way for him to win at this point. Even the New York Times is admitting that. The national polls that all show Biden ahead are largely reflective of the population discrepancies in already solidly blue states like California and New York. which isn't saying anything. Go to the battleground states, the Wisconsins, the Ohios, the Pennsylvanias, the Michigans, and you begin to see Biden's lead evaporate. And that's only going to get worse as we get closer to the election, especially now with the announcement that Trump has raised well over $200 million in just the first quarter of campaign funding for this year. Trump is well on his way to raising over $2 billion, which is something Biden can't even remotely compete with. So it's appearing more and more to be the case that this strategy of trying to blame Trump for the coronavirus, which is exactly what the Marxist regime in Beijing wants, by the way. That's why we like to call the mainstream media the Marxist media, the international propaganda wing of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. They are literally state-controlled media. The reason now for trying to blame Trump for the coronavirus is to minimize the damage he's going to do against the Democrats in November. This election is clearly favoring Trump overwhelmingly. We've reported that the primary model, which has predicted virtually every presidential election since 1912, gives President Trump a 91% chance at re-election against Biden. Biden is an incredibly weak candidate. The same model shows a massive swing in favor of the Republicans for congressional gains in November. So what appears to be going on now is that the strategy that the mainstream Beijing media is employing here is they're actively trying to minimize the damage that Trump inflicts on the Democrats. He's poised to inflict some major damage. The question now is how badly is Trump going to trounce Biden and the Democrats? Everything, therefore, the media is doing, the Marxist media is doing, is now attempting to minimize that damage. Most, I think, have given up trying to unseat the president. So now they're just trying to minimize the overall electoral damage. That's how I'm seeing it at this point. I think that's why we're beginning to see the mainstream media just completely lose it at this point. Chris Cuomo, I mean, they become totally unhinged. Everyone's absolutely lambasting, by the way, CNN and whoever's in charge of writing the headline captions for them. Did you see the captions when Trump was excoriating the media? You know, again, with their own words, their so-called reporting, right? You obviously have a social justice warrior writing the captions with headlines that change every few minutes on CNN, with captions like, "Angry Trump uses propaganda video produced by government employees at taxpayers' expense. Angry Trump turns briefing into propaganda session. Trump melts down in angry response to reports he ignored virus warnings. Trump uses task force briefing to try and rewrite history on coronavirus response." I don't know if you saw, Tucker Carlson had a field day with that last night. Some woke 24-year-old caption writer started treating the captions as if they were his or her own Twitter feed. It's just absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious to watch the cultural Marxist mainstream media implode before our very eyes. God bless Donald Trump. Now, before you go, you definitely want to check out the video I just uploaded on the biggest threat to Joe Biden this November. It's not Trump. And it's not even his own dementia-prone gaffes. It's turning out to be the Democratic Party itself. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.